Greetings, humans. Welcome to 2024. Welcome to episode 3 of the 0 to 6 Figure series. Wow. Last year was absolutely fantastic. I think it was a very phenomenal year, very successful year. And yeah, I think this year is just about scaling it and trying to do the absolute most that we can. And with that said, I have a whole bunch in store for you. Now, first things first, I did take a 25k account challenge towards the end of last year, and I think after passing, and I think after passing the 5k challenge so quickly and so brilliantly, if I might add, my ego was absolutely through the roof, and long story short, I failed it. All right, and I think it's really a lesson, particularly with funded accounts, which is one, I think the approach to funded trading, or just trading when you have a funded account and when you're trading a challenge, cannot be the same. I am living testament. I kind of learned the hard way, but nonetheless, we're still good, and we have a bit of a better system to tackle this year and some of the goals that we have planned out. So first thing is I really want to max out funding with Myfunded FX. So what I'm planning on doing is getting max allocation with the 2-step phase, and they've just released or announced a 3-step plan, which is arguably harder, but I think the risk to reward or the ROI on it is really good because the payout cycle goes down from 14 days to I think 5 days as of this current moment of recording. And it's also cheaper than the other phases that they have. So because they offer 600k funding with 300 on either phase for a total max allocation of 600, my goal for majority of this year currently is to get that 600k max allocation. So to kind of keep my ego in check and not bite off more than I can chew, I actually have a bit of a diagram that I have laid out whereby I'm going to be taking a 10k account challenge first, and then a 25k, 50, and then from there I think I'll be able to take a 200k challenge, because then at least I'll have like 4 funded for other funded accounts, so at least I have a bit of a buffer. And then from there, it's just a matter of just aiming for that 1 to 2% consistently, because I think that's the big thing that really eludes a lot of traders or a lot of first-time funded traders like myself, which is aiming for a consistent withdrawal rather than still trying to aim for those leaps and bounds that you typically were going for in the first phase, or at least the challenge phase of your account growth, right, or portfolio growth. So there's that, right? So yeah, episode 3 is very interesting. I think I have a completely different outlook now. I think this is the first time in my trading career or my trading journey where I haven't had to think about improving my trading. Well, as far as like learning new material and still making the same silly mistakes. I mean, sure, I still make them, but now I think I understand them within the little scope that they exist in, rather than making the same silly mistakes and then wanting to change my strategy or thinking that I'm a super terrible trader. And yeah, it's just a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm really, 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 really excited about 2024. Currently, it is the 1st of February. So fun fact, right? About 3 weeks ago, I did record the first part of this. I think it was the intro, but there was like a stomach bug that I had, and literally on tape, you can almost visibly see how sick I was. And it just got worse and worse and worse as of recording. And I thought to myself, you know what? Let me just wait till I get a little bit better and then start this episode of the 0 to 6 Figure series. And also, on a side note, I genuinely can't wait until this becomes the 6-figure to 7-figure series. So that's going to be fun. So what I'm going to do right now is go over a trade that I took, which, well, I didn't take it. It was actually a paper trade on GJ, because I'm just kind of trying to get into the headspace of trusting and only entering when my A plus entry model presents itself, right? So I'll go over that. Another update is I've started trading oil recently, so we'll see how that goes. I kind of realized that I get good entries with the same entry model that I use on GJ. Different time frames, of course, but I've kind of realized that I kind of have the same success rate with it. So we'll see how long that carries me out for. So yeah, without any further ado, 6 minutes into the video, let's go over this trade. All right, let us hit the charts. So this technically doesn't count as the charts because these are screenshots from the previous trade. But this was a trade that I took on the 28th, I believe, of January. I think that was a Friday. This was a Friday. But we're going to go over my trade entry on GJ and my overall thought process with entering this trade. So first things first, I always start out on the weekly. So this is the weekly time frame. So the first thing that I usually look out for is liquidity sweeps. It's one of the things that I learned about as I was kind of refining my system, to say the least, right? So first things first, had to get a liquidity sweep. This was the weekly liquidity sweep that I checked out, and price failed to close with the full candle body, and that obviously then indicated to me that there's a good chance that price is likely to reverse and retrace back into either this here area or this here area at the bottom. So after marking out this liquidity sweep and then the weekly candle open, I then moved on to the daily time frame. Now, the reason why I usually mark out my weekly candle open is because part of the narrative behind my entry criteria is the AMD or market maker model, which basically means buying below either session opens, daily opens, and weekly opens. Weekly opens paired with previous week sweeps tend to work out quite amazingly for me, and you'll see that for yourself. Yeah, so now we're on the daily time frame. The liquidity sweep looks a little bit clear. So what we can see by this cluster of candlesticks here is a few things, right? One, sorry about that. So one, what we do see here is even on the daily, price clearly doesn't have enough momentum to continue pushing up, and this cluster of candlesticks also shows me that at least on the lower time frame, there's a bit of a change of character or a change in state of delivery that's happening. So at the very least, we are very likely to at least come toward these lows or break these lows, but we'll obviously get a clearer picture in the lower time frames. But yeah, the first thing that I did identify was this liquidity sweep that happened here, and I was basically expecting price to come into this daily order block level and see what it potentially does. So from there, I then dropped down to the 4-hour. So as we look at this right here, what we can see is on the daily, I was looking at a few things. Price broke structure with the wick and failed to close above the high with the full candle body. This indicates a potential change of structure. So drop down to the 4-hour time frame. Now, top-down analysis, they're very polarizing. I think for me, it's just the way that I use it to build my entry model on the lower time frames. So the higher time frames do give me a clearer picture. That's what I look for confirmations on. But doing the whole top-down thing, I don't know, that just helps me figure out my bias, right? So in that small cluster of candlesticks that I had seen on the daily, this is what I could tell, right? Which was price came down below this low and failed to take out this high. So for me, that's a change of character. Simply because with change of character is because I don't typically trade them very often. I usually look at them as indicators that price can
likely change. Not that it will. I wait for a break of structure, of course, but the change of character or change in state of delivery, that's just how I see if market structure is starting to favor the reversal side of things. So that's what it looked like on the 4 hour. And heading down to the 1 hour, which I'd already taken this trade. This is basically what I was seeing. So we created this high, created this low, price came up, failed to take out this high, which makes sense because this high had taken out the previous weekly structure. So it's a very strong high, right? So after it did that, price failed to break it, came right down, created a change of character. So immediately when this happens, I'm backed up by two things. One, we took out a weekly level or a weekly high, and price is creating a change of character down. So those two things are already adding up confluence for my short positions. So just to make sure that price is indeed in favor of that, you could take this entry here, but because we're so early in the change of character and change of delivery or state of delivery, particularly from a higher time frame perspective, I just needed one more confirmation to be present in order for me to enter these trades. So along the course of the day, I think this was the previous day, price came into this order block that caused the original change of character, and it further broke structure. I should have marked this out here. I think I moved it a little bit lower because I actually drew these on the higher time frame. So price came into this area and then broke structure heavily down, right? So it was only after this break of structure and it displacing so aggressively down and leaving this fair value gap, that was a signal for me to then enter my short positions. So then it was just a matter of waiting for price to get into this POI during the London session, which is the session that I trade GJ in. So that's between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m. my side. So technically, I guess that's also a London kill zone. I've seen that a lot of my probable trades or high probability trades tend to happen around that time. So if we come down lower to the 15-minute time frame, this is kind of the same thing that I'd marked out, just a little bit more refined. So this is where price created our change of character, created some liquidity there, swept it, and then immediately broke downwards. So as soon as this happened, I just identified this teeny tiny order block here with the fair value gap in front of it. Price got into this area quite beautifully, I might add, on the 15-minute time frame, and we entered the trade for a nice 1-to-8 risk to reward ratio. So with GJ, I do aim for these big risk to rewards simply because the way my trading system is set up, I'm able to refine it to this point without having to go down to the 5-minute and 1-minute time frame. This was purely a 15-minute time frame execution, and because I've backtested this, I know how often these come up and I know how safe my stop loss is. So in as much as sometimes 10 pip stops, which is what I used here, can seem a little too aggressive, for this particular entry model on GJ during the London kill zone, I promise you, if you use like anywhere between 10 to 12 pips, price will have enough room within that area that you marked out. And what I like about it is because it makes the take profit level still within the daily range of GJ, you're more likely to hit that 1-to-8 more often than you're not, right? So even in this instance, price didn't actually end up continuing to break structure down. Price actually reversed. If you look back at the higher time frame here, let me see if I can get it open. If you look at the higher time frame here, price did actually reverse before it broke structure and took out this entry. So this is also part of something that I'd also backtested, or part of my backtesting data, which is even if something like this does happen, I will most likely have hit take profit before then, or if not, then my stops will have already been moved to break even.
All right, guys. So with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed that little part of the video where I'm kind of going over the trade that I took on GJ, as well as the trade that I took on US oil. I actually didn't know that it's called Brent oil or UTI, depending on the prop firm or broker that you use. So for those that are looking to start trading oil, heads up right there. But yeah, this is really just more of like an intro into 2024, kind of where I'm at, where I plan on going, what the plan is. And as always, I hope you guys will come along this journey with me. Let's grow this series, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.